And we're back. Time for another Patreon question and answer video of the month. First one, what's your favorite superhero? I would have to say my favorite superhero is Batman from the Batman animated series. And the voice actor who does that one, as well as the video games, Kevin Conroy, is the best. He manages to capture that quality of somewhat of a larger-than-life person, but still grounded, like so many other Batmans, from Michael Keaton to Clooney to Val Kilmer to even the most Nolan incarnations had this gravelly voice, whereas Kevin Conroy's already got a deep voice, and he just slightly tweaks it like a master when it comes to creating a ship between Bruce and Batman. What's hanging on your wall that you love? I have a wooden tie that was handmade by my father that I have nailed to my wall in my bedroom. Some of you may know the story behind that. I'll tell a quick version of it here. My father was always a contrarian, a stubborn, wonderful, outside-the-box sort of person. He loved working with wood. And at a certain job he was at, like an office job, one of his middle managers told him he had to wear a tie. My dad was never into ties. So sure enough, he went and spent a weekend in his wood working area in the garage, came back and started donning these wooden ties with leather straps. He briefly tried to sell them in various crafts, swap meets and so forth. Didn't really pan out, and it wasn't until after his passing my brother found them and offered them to people as part of his wedding favors. And I have one, and it's just a reminder of the really cool, weird, wonderful things my dad made with wood throughout his life. What wakes up your creativity, or where does inspiration strike? As I've gotten older, I think the real part of it is that inspiration is, it's a myth. It's chasing something that doesn't exist. Sure, there are those who may find an idea but then write about it, but I think the real muscle of it comes from just doing the work. And inspiration for me strikes when I have a deadline, when I give myself a specific deadline. If someone says, hey, we need you to write this review in 48 hours, or this play needs to be submitted to this festival in 2 months, that's when creativity strikes, when there are specific guidelines, when I give myself a boundary, when I say, okay, you're gonna write this play, but it can only feature women, and it has to be about something that you don't see on stage very often. And challenges like that fuel me. What do you need for inspiration? I need to just be open to the world and see things and read about things and hear about things that I don't always uncover. Reading stories about Indonesian sailors who basically go to this graveyard of wrecked ships and salvage and grab away the metals, the precious metals that sell, and their harrowing stories. Or reading about people who fake their own death and go to such absurd lengths for insurance money, and the actual agents who chase them down. So I read a bunch of things outside of my normal wheelhouse of theater and poetry and literature and video games and so forth. And I find that that really helps build things and help shift things into writing about more things than just the obvious tropes. What is your favorite piece of visual art? I would have to say my favorite visual artist in general, I'm going to probably butcher her name and I apologize, is Yayoi Kusama. She is a Japanese artist who now divides her time in her, which I believe she's almost 90 now. She divides her time at a mental institution she has voluntarily checked herself into since the 70s, and then has a studio within walking distance. And all her life she's battled her mental illness, or lived with her mental illness, through a lot of her works dealing with the idea of infinity, or like polka dots, or what she calls nets. And one of my favorite pieces is one called Nets and Sun. A lot of Kusama's pieces are vibrant and alive, and you walk away from them just feeling so hopeful about the world. Now, here are my questions for you. What was your favorite pet, or is your favorite pet? And second, if you were to be reincarnated, what pet would you like to come back as, and why? Love you guys.